1, 2, 3, 4.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Good to be back, as they say. This is Jewish Talk, coming to you live from NASA Community College on 90.3 WHPC, and also streaming live on the iHeart and iTunes app. And we can be seen on the Facebook Live page today. And hello to Harvey Kipnis, Louis Pushkin, and Jonathan Wolf. And, of course, everybody listening right here. This program is later archived on Spreaker.com. So, hi there, everyone. My name is Rabbi Pearl. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This all depends on when you're listening and what time you are watching. Hello to Gene and to Doug and to everybody out there. Today, I'd like to share with you, today on the Jewish calendar is the second day of the month of Nisan, N-I-S-O-N. If you drive a Nissan, you are lucky. It's the second day of the month of Nisan, and yesterday, throughout the world, we read with great gusto and great detail of the very first commandment given to the Jewish people before they left Egypt. As we all know, the holiday of Passover is coming, where we celebrate the freedom coming out of Egypt. And exactly 2 weeks before that, we received our first commandment. Now here, dear friends, we're discussing today what that commandment was, surprisingly, and its greater significance. So welcome, everyone. And it's great to have everyone. And if you are watching on Facebook Live and you give us a message or say hello, we'll be happy to give you a shout out and to address your questions as they come through. So what was the first commandment? Surprise! The first commandment was not anything but the mitzvah, the commandment of Rosh Chodesh, which is all about the new month. Let me give you the words. The words are very simple. God says to Moses, in the land of Egypt, this month is for you the head of the months. First, it is for you among the months of the year. What exactly does this mean? The Jewish nation was told that while still in Egypt, that the month of Nisan, which began yesterday, the month in which we would be leaving Egypt, should be their first month. And that from now on, they, as a nation, have a responsibility to count the months and create a uniquely Jewish calendar based on the lunar year. Now, that's our question. Isn't it strange that the first commandment given to us should be about a calendar? You'd think the development of the calendar would come after the establishment of some far more basic fundamentals, like the Ten Commandments. And this is our discussion. Why does the Torah consider the process of establishing a new month as the major breakthrough in creating a nation? And what was wrong with the solar calendar and that everybody else was using? And what is the significance basing the Jewish calendar on the moon? Well, the mitzvah of sanctifying the new month was rather an involved process. We're going back in biblical times. How was a month established? They didn't have all the calendars from the banks and from the funeral homes, so there had to be a way of establishing the month. Well, this is how it worked. As soon as someone saw the tiniest sliver of a new month, they would run to the Jerusalem High Court, who needed 2 witnesses to testify that the moon was actually seen. They would then convene the court, declare the new month, and send messages across the land to tell everyone that the new month had begun on this certain day. That's how it went. They, in turn, would pass on the news and place torches, right? How would the distant parts of the country and even other countries get to learn when the Jewish new month began? They actually placed torches on mountain tops, on high spots, and like sign signals, like Morse code, they would spread the news faster and further. Sometimes it actually took 2 weeks for people to receive the confirmation of the day that the court had declared as the beginning of the month. This is, by the way, is the root reason why the Jewish people who live in the diaspora outside of Israel would keep 2 days of the holidays, just in case they were wrong about which day was Rosh Chodesh, beginning of the month, if the information didn't arrive on time. See here, my friends? This is what's going on. Our calendar determines on which day each Jewish holiday will occur. Each particular holiday brings with it a concrete spiritual reality from above that becomes available to us to tap into on that specific day. So Passover, Pesach, it's coming up for us, contains the opportunity to attain spiritual freedom. Rosh Hashanah is the time for judgment. So each holiday has its specialty. Now, the determination of this calendar, as I've just explained, is placed squarely in human hands. It was based on people coming to the Jerusalem High Court and giving witness. Then they would determine the month. So if the moon were to appear, in fact, on a Monday, but no one actually saw it until Tuesday, as we say, seeing is believing. And the court would decide that the first of the month was on a Tuesday. It wasn't seen until then. As a result, God, as it were, follows the decision of the court and acts accordingly. So that in the case of Rosh Hashanah, God, so to speak, pushes off his judgment an entire day until it was determined below on this world when the first day of the month is. What do we see behind all of this? The Almighty God is giving us the empowerment, this very special mitzvah, the first commandment given to us as a people leaving Egypt. This was a very empowering message. Because up until that time, we were slaves. We all know slaves, their time is not their own. Now, as they were about to leave Egypt, God says, you are now becoming the master of your time. Not only of your own time, but of my time as well. By being given our own system of measuring time and creating our own calendar, we were taking charge of shaping reality. We are given a certain area of control, so to speak, over nature. So whereas time is steadily moving forward, never stopping, marching on this cyclical, repetitive kind of spiral, we are given the power to stop or start time at will. Think about it. It's allowing us to share with God that special creativity of determining reality. Let's take a look on our Facebook to say hello to everybody. Good morning to Javi again. Welcome back to Dr. Kilshevsky. John Krishella, Boker Tov, thank you so much for being here. And of course, whether we say Nissan, Goldberg, Iceberg, it's all the same. Karen Dumbeck, thank you so much. Michelle Larry Polonetsky, thank you. Good morning to you. What a beautiful morning it is out there. To Samantha Kennedy, wow. And of course, Joanne Sands. And good morning to Paula Newman. To Gail Cole, good morning. You finally woke up to watch us live. Thank you. Marvin Wordsman, dear friends. Steve Melnick is here. Wow, thank you so much. My friends, I want to tell you that not only we appreciate those who are watching us on live at the studio, on the Facebook Live, but also everybody listening on the radio. A special shout out to Julia Blumenthal and to Michael Wolf and to everybody out there watching us and listening to us. And our discussion is today that fascinating. Yesterday in the Jewish community, we read in the Torah in a special way of the very first commandment given to the Jewish people as they were about to be released from Egypt in preparation for the Passover holiday. And we found fascinating that the first mitzvah given to us, the first commandment, was to take control of time, to base the calendar on the movement of the moon. And part of this empowering message is the essential for the moon to be our determining factor in setting up our calendar instead of the sun. What's so unique? What's the unique feature of the moon that appears to wax and wane, to disappear and reappear, to grow, diminish and grow again? It is also the small of the two luminaries, the sun and the moon. So whereas the sun is the symbol of unchanging nature, rising in the east, setting in the west, day in, day out, every day of the year, the moon has its changes, and it seems to be telling us something. You can be small, and you can diminish until you almost disappear. But then, my friends, when things look their darkest, hope springs eternal, and you're back again. You can start looking up again. You can change your situation and yourself for the better, no matter how bad it seems. Nothing is static or set in stone. Human beings have free will, and therein is their power of renewal. An ever-present struggle against the steady, cyclical, repetitive, and predictable march of time and nature, as we all know. And that actually finds itself in the Hebrew words itself. And I want to thank Dr. Kilshevsky for providing and teaching me how to read Hebrew. The solar system determines the year. In Hebrew, the word year is shana, which comes from the same root as repeat, to go over. Whereas the moon sets the months. Chodesh, the Hebrew word for month is chodesh, from the Hebrew root chadash, new, change, different. And so we are compared to the moon. Though small, we never give up. Whether it's as an individual or as a nation, we rise up again and light up the night. You see, we believe in the power of miracles, that God supervises over the world and is not dependent on the predictable laws of nature. What a perfect time and place to give this encouraging message as we were about to leave Egypt. The commandment to sanctify the new moon every month and to determine our calendar this way. Because each of us, as we prepare for the holiday of Passover, are being reminded that we have the power of renewal, of change, the gift of expanding, brightening, and growing big again after having gone through a period of diminishment. But here's something even greater and very special about Rosh Chodesh. That's the Hebrew word for the beginning of the month, and that it relates to women. You see, women, Rosh Chodesh, the first day of the month, is considered a mini holiday for women. Why? This was a reward for not having participated in the sin of the golden calf. Gentlemen, sorry to break the news, but we failed. The women didn't. After giving the Torah at Mount Sinai, Moses goes up the mountain for 40 days to receive his to receive the Ten Commandments. As a result of a minor miscalculation, the Jewish men believed that Moses had died, and they went to beseech Aaron to make them a god to go with them in the desert. What did God say? What did Aaron say? Take the earrings from your wives, from your sons and your daughters, bring them to me. Guess what? The women heard and refused to give their jewelry to their husbands and said, "You want to make a calf with no power to save? We will not listen to you." Guess what? Because of that, God gave them the reward in this world that they keep Rosh Chodesh more than men. In fact, many women are very careful not to do laundry, not to do sewing, and many harder work activities on Rosh Chodesh because it has a mini holiday status. But the question is, why? What's the connection? Why should this be? Why should this be the reward? Because they didn't participate in the golden calf. Rosh Chodesh is their special day. What's the link between our not willing to give up our precious jewelry for the ill-fated golden calf with celebrating the reappearance of the moon every month? What's the connection? And dear friends, gentlemen, if you don't want to hear the truth, turn off the radio, get off the Facebook Live. But here's the truth. Women have the ability to see beyond the very frightening situation that was going on, whether it was then or whether it's now. They have a deeper vision. And at that time, there was a very frightening situation. Moses goes up to receive the Torah. He tarries on the way back. And as far as the Jewish men were concerned, all hope was lost. He was gone. There was no leader, no shepherd, no one to guide them through the desert. How could Moses be late? He must have died. In fact, the Medrash tells us that Satan showed the Jewish people a vision of their beloved leader lying lifeless on a cot in heaven, just to scare them. But the women could not be convinced to sink in such a matter of despair. When things seemed dark and hopeless, they knew that the light was just around the corner. Patience and trust in God would be all that would be needed to get through the bad times and into the good ones. So like the moon, becoming brighter and bigger, only after it disappears completely into darkness, they knew that better times are on the way. It was impossible them. They couldn't have fathomed that God would leave them stranded after having just received the Torah 40 days earlier. They were willing to believe in the power of renewal and trust God, no matter how difficult things seem to be. So, my friends, let us all today, as we go into this month of Nisan, we're on the second day already, let us take encouragement from this special gift of the lunar cycle by which we count our months. Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the month, teaches us that everything can change. It is when a situation reaches its bleakest point that the light appears again. So I'm wishing everybody a happy Rosh Chodesh. Continue on this point. Let's talk a little bit about the gift of time that we have and how we take control of time. And again, I'd like to say hello to all those who are joining us and listening to us. And I'd like to say hello to Christy Duss. Thank you so much. Good morning from Houston, Texas. Oi, Gewalt. Jill Jessic, I think from New Jersey. Hello to Alyssa Reese Stimler. Mazel tov on the upcoming wedding. Wow, fantastic. And Dr. Kilshevsky just shared a secret between him and his mother-in-law. That's fantastic. Thank you, Dorothy. You did a good job over there. So, my friends, the gift of time. Imagine there's a bank which credits your account each morning. Kim, are you listening? Imagine you wake up every single morning and you find $86,400 right into your account. But listen to this. It carries over no balance from day to day. It allows you to keep no cash balance. And every evening cancels whatever part of the amount you failed to use that day. So every single day, Kim, you wake up, you look into your online, of course, the question, with your iPhone, and you find there's $86,400 in your account. But you've got to use it that day. What would you do? Draw out every cent, of course. What kind of question? Well, everyone has such a bank. Its name is time. Isn't it called one of the banks called
Dime?
The Dime. Oh, that's a dime. Okay. Every morning it credits us with 86,400 seconds. Every night it writes off as lost whatever of this you failed to invest to a good purpose. It carries over no balance. It allows for no overdraft. Each day it opens a new account for you. If you fail to use the day's deposits, the loss is yours. There's no going back. There's no drawing against the tomorrow. You must live in the present on today's deposits. As the expression goes, time waits for no one. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why we call this the present. I actually saw this on the walls of the jail. In Nassau County, there's a jail in East Meadow. And on the walls in the room that I give classes to, both the men and the women at the Nassau County Jail, I saw this and I said, I'm going to jot this down. Time waits for no one. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why it's called a present. As the saying goes, to realize the value of 1 minute, ask a person who missed the train. To realize the value of 1 second, ask a person who just avoided an accident. To realize the value of 1 millisecond, ask the person who won a silver medal in the Olympics. So, what time is it? You know the story of the man who comes to the therapist for a very serious problem. How can I help you? Asks the therapist. Yes, says the patient. Please tell me what time it is. And the therapist says, it's 3 o'clock. Patient says, oh no, Hashem, God help me. Therapist says, what's the matter? The patient says, I've been asking the time all day, and everybody gives me a different answer. Did you get that one, Kim? Unbelievable. I mean, this is what's going on here. Aristotle once said to his students, what is the greatest teacher who kills all of his students? The answer is time. The bad news is time flies. The good news is you're the pilot. You know, I recently flew to Phoenix, Arizona for a simcha, for a wedding. It was only a 3-hour difference and a 5-hour flight. But it got me thinking about losing time. I guess we all lose days. Sometimes it's simply because nothing monumental seemed to happen. Other times we just can't remember what we did. It is the classic situation when your kids return home from a full 8 hours in school and the mom says, "No, what did you do?" And the kid says, "I did nothing." Nothing. Yet, we all know how other days are so full, so brimming with activity, accomplishments, results. And those days define us in many ways. The days our children were born, for example, the days we got married, the day we landed a great job, and of course the days are etched in our in our memory forever. The day we lost a loved one, right? The day a relationship died. So ultimately, we have no idea how many days we have in our lives. It is so easy to feel that our days are endless, and there will always be more. Yet, think how many would do anything, give anything, for just one more day in their life, for just one more day in the life of someone they loved. So perhaps that is why reflecting back on lost hours is making me uncomfortable. I don't want to lose time, and because I did, it is making me realize how much I truly can accomplish with my time when I make the most of it. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, whose upcoming 117th birthday anniversary is coming up a week from Monday, once said, at the time asked what time a certain event would take place. And one of the gentlemen said, it's around 10 or 10:15. He asked, which one is it? Is it 10 or is it 10:15? For he explained that there was an incredible amount that he could accomplish in 15 minutes. How careful we must be with our time and to make sure it's used in the proper manner. It is so easy and so cliche to say that we should use our time well and take advantage of every day. But it is true. For what a shame and a waste that a 24-hour period can pass, and we might feel that during our day we did nothing. All the more if we let that day turn into a week or even longer. I saw an interesting quote from Steve Jobs. He said the following: "Live each day as if it is your last, and one day you will be right." We can't live in the past, and we don't know what tomorrow brings, but we can determine how we want today to be. So, after this program, get away from your computer screen and make the most of it, my friends. And I do thank you, all those listening each Sunday morning or at later night at 11 p.m. at night, and those who join us on Facebook Live, and all of us, I thank you. Thank you for who you are, and for us together to spend this time in an appropriate manner. I want to tell you a story about a clock, and when I'm finished, hopefully you'll look at your own clock with a little difference. But again, I want to say hello to those who are joining us on Facebook Live. Harvey Kipnis, who was our amazing listener and good friend. He runs a company called the Compumatic Time. So it's all about timing for people, if in your work and you have a company, you want to make sure the workers come on time and leave on time. Certainly there are machines out there. Harvey, thank you for bringing that to our attention. And Dr. Shaw, Shavua Tov, we must use every second of the day. And thank you so much. There are many people now on Facebook getting nervous. They're checking out their bank account. They don't see the $84,000 in there. Well, we talk about the 84,000 seconds that we have that enriches our life. And of course, there are doctors out there who have figured out a way how to live 25 hours a day. So here's a story about the clock. One of his travels, a Hasidic master, Rabbi Yisachar Dov Ber of Radovich, very famous Hasidic rabbi, he occasioned to stay a night at a wayside inn. I'm not talking about the Hiltons or, it's called a Kremachuk, some sort of in the olden days there. like a Motel 6, like, you know. So he stayed there, and in the morning, he went crazy looking for the innkeeper, the owner of the place. And he said to him, excitingly, he says, the clock that you had hanging in my room, where is it from? Where did you get that wonderful clock from? So the innkeeper, who's surprised, says, why? It's an ordinary clock. There are hundreds of this hanging in homes throughout the country. Oh, no, insisted Rabbi Sachadov. This is not an ordinary clock. You must find out for me where this clock comes from. If only to humor his guest, the innkeeper made some inquiries, and he found out that the information that this clock once belonged to the famous seer of Lublin. It's called, in Hebrew, it's called the Chayzim in Lublin, the famous Rabbi Yaakov Yitzchak Horowitz. An heir of this seer, an heir of this individual, had been forced by poverty to sell all of his possessions. So the clock passed from the owner to owner until it came to hang in one of the guest rooms of this inn. So Rabbi Yisachar, who had inquired about this clock, said, of course! Now that he knew the clock's history, this clock could only have belonged to the seer of Lublin, or this great rabbi. Only the seer's clock, his particular clock, could mark time in such a manner. And he said the following, he explained, very powerful thought, my friends, as we look at our own clocks right now. A standard clock, a standard watch, strikes as it moves forward you could say a mournful tone. The clock moves, another hour of your life has passed away. Yeah, it's passed you by, it says. Right? Sadly, the hours move forward. It's 1 hour closer to the grave. But the rabbi went on, he says, but this clock of this great rabbi, his clock, as it moved forward, it read, another hour of the exile has passed away, has gone by. We are now 1 hour closer to the coming of Mashiach and the redemption. So the rabbi explained, you see, all through the night, whenever this clock sounded the hour, I leapt from my bed and he danced for joy. What a powerful thought for us. Look at our clock. What do we see? What do we see? Do we see the time passing away? Or do we see ourselves getting closer? Closer to the coming of a world filled with Mashiach, with good health and happiness, no more wars, all kinds of craziness. That's what life is all about. You know, it's like living on a spinning wheel. Round and round, it goes faster and faster. You know, you get a headache. But if you go into the center, to go to the axis of the spinning wheel, you'll find some rest. That day that gives us an opportunity to look at life more deeper is, of course, Shabbos. Shabbos is the innermost point of the world. That's the axis upon which our soul, our self, our soul, and our outlining personas all turn, and it becomes Shabbos. When we look at time differently and appreciate time, and we learn how to make our time that much more meaningful. I guess, like everything else in this world, time has I've been grabbed by the time. This is your host, Rabbi Pearl, wishing everybody Chag Kosher V'Sameach. Thank you for joining. Let's make all good use of our time, and bless us with lange, gesunde Jahren. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.